The great economist Thomas Sowell, in 1981, participating in a panel discussion with members of the media, was asked by NBC News' Emery King to address affirmative action. Thomas Sowell, 1981, 45 years ago.
Blacks have made more progress in the last 17 years than at any other time in history, progress that came about largely as a result of the government social programs during that period, among them affirmative action. What do you propose, or would you propose, as substitutes as we see the administration going about the business of...
I would disagree with you entirely on your facts. As I've looked at affirmative action, I do not see blacks or Hispanics rising relative to the general population under affirmative action. I think there are a lot of assertions and foregone conclusions that are stated over and over again, but repetition is not a substitute for facts. The fact is that under affirmative action, Puerto Rican income, for example, has fallen from 60% of the national average to 50% of the national average. Mexican American income has fallen from 76% to 73% of the national average. Black income has fluctuated right about where it was before affirmative action. When you break down the figures further, what you find is that those blacks who have education, who have years of experience on the job, are rising absolutely in relative to whites, but that those who are average and who don't have that level of education, they are falling relative to whites. So they are falling behind from before. I would not date the progress from 17 years ago, the 1964 Civil Rights Act I assume you're talking about. I think we need to go back 10 years before that, and in the preceding decade, blacks in high-level jobs more than doubled. What we're watching is a long-run trend based upon the rising skill level of the black population.
Mr. Eaton?
Uh-huh. And nothing's changed in the last 45 years in terms of the impact of these count-by-race programs, whether it's with respect to admissions or with respect to hiring. So maybe someday we'll stop playing racial politics in Chicago. And maybe it would take somebody like Willie Wilson to lead the charge because he has the credibility on the issue, somebody who lived through Jim Crow and came out the other end, a multi-million-dollar successful businessman. He has the standing that a suburban honky like me doesn't. So maybe he'll deliver that message and separate himself from the crowd in the 2027 mayoral race. Let's ask him. Willie Wilson, humanitarian businessman, candidate for mayor. The website, williewilson2027.com, williewilson2027.com. Willie, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having us on this morning. It's been a while since we talked, you know?
It has. So what do you think about what Thomas Sowell had to say 45 years ago and whether or not we've been stuck in a rut in the 45 years since?
Well, you know, I'm from the Jim Crow days, and even now, I think the struggle today is different than what it was 45 years ago. Because 45 years ago, when I was coming up, we didn't have, in my neighborhood down south, picking cotton, chopping cotton, we didn't have drugs, nothing like that. Alcohol. We worked hard, and we just took in, had to survive. Today, it's a lot different. I think today you have to have these young men and young ladies to have skills. You got to train them in school. You got to put trade in school and start building their foundation. But you can't have the teachers in the school. I would say this much is the leadership of the teacher union passing kids from 1 grade to 8th grade and can't read and write. You know, those majority of black there. I mean, whether you're black or white, you have to do right by all people. Don't see just one color. We got to have a different mindset in. You know, I made it with 7th grade education, ran away from home, and very successful. Never been in no trouble or nothing like that. And still appreciate all of Chicago, regardless of what your color may be. I'm going to stick with that and stay with it. You got to put trades in school. You got to make sure that pay from 1 grade to the next grade is that they got a trade. And when you get to 12th grade, you know how to fix things with your hand. You got to put AI. That is going thing coming up. and these kids being left behind more and more and more. And then on top of that, Dan, a lot of the kids recycle back into prison system because after they get out, all right, and so we gotta put a stop to that and put trade in the prison system as well. So when they get out, they become productive citizens.
Well, let's talk.
It's stuff about that, you know.
Well, let's talk about one institution at a time here. So, what's your message to Stacey Davis Gates and the Chicago School Board? What does Mayor Willie Wilson mean for them?
Well, I think it means a little bit of trouble because I wouldn't allow them to pass these young men and young ladies out of school, what grade they grade, and don't know how to read and write. You know, I wouldn't allow it. You need to trade back in there. I would say that those young men and young people need a leadership, the right leadership, to care about them, not to just take and talk one talk and do another one. I mean, I understand that she has her kid in private school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's wrong. How can she put her kid in private school and not in the public school, and then go on strike and want more money? I call it a shame. I think all of them should resign, to be honest with you, unless get new leadership there, you know?
And do you, I mean, in addition to resigning, I mean, it could be just reshuffling the death. I mean, if Jackson Potter takes over, what'll be different? Nothing. So what about providing opportunities for kids whose mom isn't Stacey Davis Gates to have the same opportunity her kid has? Like, for example, doing what Pritzker won't do and pushing to opt in to the $1,700 federal tax credit to fund K through 12 scholarships. You're still a supporter of school choice, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely, 100,000%. You have to have, in my opinion, to get the right break education, school choices. You know, I think this whole thing with the illegal immigrant came in and they putting them into school. I think that just applied to take and get more money for the union. You know, the whole thing must stop and will stop. You got to have these private schools. People can make their own choices. You know, that would all go away. And I mean, we have to deal with this situation. Stop taking and produce a product that doesn't work.
So on public safety, let's talk public safety, because that's part of the conversation about schools too. Kids getting to and from school safely, including the ones that have to take CTA. You know, tell us where you come down. I mean, should the Safety Act be repealed? Should the ShotSpotter cameras be redeployed? Should we hire more cops? Something else that you want to do that's not included in that list?
I believe that right now you're short about 2,000 police officers. I think supposed to get up to around about 14,000 people, police officers. Look, if I have the 14,000 police officers, if I need 15,000, then you put 15,000 to make sure that our public is safe and feel confident that they can go out and shop and things of that nature. And the neighborhood is safe so new businesses can come into the community. The ShotSpotter ordinarily you need them here because my understanding is that somebody fired a shot, for example, that police officer can locate where it came from and respond much quicker there. I would definitely put that back in place. But not only that, I would put the police back into the schools, you know, to protect our precious product and those our kids. You know, we would still, you know, I always been on this one here. I still believe that you got to have 4 superintendent police to cover each section of the city. You got 50 aldermen running the city, all right? So give people the confidence that, look, police officers here, those CTAs and the high-rise building there, have those police officers in the citizen building where that people living in there not 55 and up, but they're like 25 young people, drugs and stuff like that. Stop all that, cut all that out, put them downtown to protect our citizens. That was first priority right there.
What about dealing with the repeat offenders that are put on electronic monitoring thanks to the Safety Act, that are turned out time and again because of the decisions of Cook County judges or the failure of Cook County prosecutors or the combination of the two? What do you want to see with the electronic monitoring program? What do you want to see with the Safety Act? What's your assessment of the job that Eileen Burke has done?
I don't know much about Burke. I met her only once, and that was pretty much that. My take on this whole situation is this, though, because every 3 or 4 months, matter of fact, on the 30th this month, I go to Cook County Jail, and I put money on the book for every prisoner in there, to buy toothpaste and et cetera, on the book for them. And when I go and talk to those young men and young ladies, I said, why do you guys take and come back in here, you get out and everything else? Every one of them, most of them say job. No particular reason. Number one, a job. They need job. They need a living wages. They need to be able to make a living, so they have to have that, because once they get out, they don't have no place to go but the job and everything. So that's the problem. Now, I just don't think that we have to go to all this extreme if you put the right situation in place for putting the situation around people's legs and things of that nature. People in prison today been there, Dan, for a year or two and haven't even had a trial. It's just sitting there. So I think this whole thing got to be reformed.
But would you?
People not bad,
I mean, I'm all for the right to a speedy trial, of course. But but would you say? I mean, just a high profile example, like the dude who lit that girl on fire on the CTA, who's a 50, 60 time loser, 50, 60 arrests, time and again. I mean, that's somebody that needs to be removed from society permanently, isn't it?
I agree with that. Somebody burn my spouse or my kid, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
To that wouldn't work at all. They don't need no nothing around their leg on that. You gotta be accountable for that. I'm totally with you on that one there. I mean, I think for a little minor crime like you stealing food because you got 5 kids and you can't take care of them, you don't need to be in jail for 3 or 4 years. You need to help that person get a job and take care of their family. But yes, the crime like that, somebody shoot and kill someone, then they need to be held accountable, and they will be held accountable.
Are you still a proponent of reparations too? I know Brandon Johnson's talked about it. He's got a commission on it, but he hasn't done anything about it. Is that something that you want to do? You want to pursue?
Well, let me explain first before I answer that right way. My analysis of reparation this year is that, look, I'm not talking about if I got to give a person $10 million for what happened back over 100 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. Reparation means giving the opportunity for me is that people need to be able to get education. People need to be able to have jobs. Reparation means to me is giving those situations that's in place just like they did in Japan. Just like you take the president now, Trump want to get young people up in Washington D.C. That's called reparation there. Okay, but
so are you talking about cash payments to people? Or are you talking about just the opportunities to go to better schools and to have job training and those sorts of social services?
I'm talking about job training, things of that nature. We have enough social situation going on now. If you give a person that don't know how to manage money, you're gonna pay it within the next day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about that. This is my analysis of reparation here. I get you call it also like your tax dollars. I pay a lot of taxes, all right? Young people and young ladies pay a lot of taxes. Those tax dollars should get back to their neighborhood to improve people's lives, But, they don't have the trade or skill, so we have to put that in place and work those out to make sure it happens. I understand, Dan, business And if you don't have business, everything goes down. If you ain't got into a certain community, your taxes goes up and run people out.
What do you think of the rise of these Democrat socialists in the Democrat Party, to which I guess you still affiliate? I don't know.
No, I always been pretty much independent for a long time.
Okay.
I'm independent right now, but let me put it this way too: there's good Democrat, there's bad Democrat, there's good Republican and bad Republican. I talk with all of them. I go out with all of them. Young man running for governor now. He was out with my food giveaway and gas giveaway this past weekend. So I look at a person, not the party, because we keep looking at the party. The party says one thing. If they're wrong, then you go with the party. But no, you got to go with the people, and you got to communicate with it. The social stuff going on today, that ain't helping nobody.
Okay, so no to socialism. That's good. What? Why is this the fourth time going to be the charm for you running for mayor?
The fourth time, what different?
Yeah, what's going to be different this time?
Well, first of all, it is that what's different is that the business aspect of it that we need to put in place now. The city right now trying real estate taxes, everything going up higher and higher and higher. Okay,
Yeah.
I know how to fix it.
Well, that was, but that was, I mean, just sorry to interrupt, but that was the same situation 4 years ago when you ran, and obviously you didn't win. So, I mean, why is it going to be different this time with the same? You may be the only one who will pursue policies that could fix it, but you got to get across the finish line. So, how do you do that in this field against, Giannulius's money and John Kelly's money and Susana Mendoza and her support?
I think this here, I'm out into all community more today than what I have been in the past. But let me put it this way. If I was a citizen of Chicago, I would ask myself the biggest question they got to face: do I want to go with somebody who running for office with two jobs?
Mm-hmm.
And okay. The other thing I've asked myself too is this here: do I want to have a person as mayor is answering to the special interest group before you answer to the citizen itself? I don't have to answer to special interest group. I use my own money, but these other people are already sold out. Chicago don't need that, and they don't need to go through that another 4 years from now. Probably I would not have ran this time because of the fact I wanted to not do anything in terms of that avenue, but because of all these guys that are running, I don't think that is right. Because I think they'll destroy Chicago further and further and further. Too many business left, too many people. They're not pro-business. They're anti-business. And then if not there, they bought already and sold and paid for. Mm-hmm. I'm not. And I understand this thing. So look, Chicago got to make that decision. And I'm going to give them an opportunity to make that decision to elect me this time for mayor at no cost.
All right. Okay. I mean, that definitely is a separator. Willie Wilson, humanitarian businessman, candidate for mayor of Chicago again. WillieWilson2027.com is the website. WillieWilson2027.com. Willie, good to speak with you again. Appreciate it.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. And Willie joining us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've worked hard for everything you have: your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.